Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of the Convoluted Podcast. Today, I have a special guest, Raul from the Wholesome Hoodlum Podcast.
What up?
I have been on his podcast before, and you guys have heard me talk about him before on my show. But introduce yourself, Raul.
Oh, cool. I am the host of the Wholesome Hoodlum Podcast. I'm putting down my bong nonchalantly now because I thought I wasn't going to talk for a second there. On my podcast, we just talk about whatever. I have people on from all walks of life, lots of podcast hosts, lots of people, anybody I can really get. And we just have a quick conversation. Well, it's not really a quick conversation, but we have a conversation about whatever. I just kind of like go off of what they tell me. And I love talking to people. So it's really just me shooting the shit with people about fun stuff. And hopefully it's pretty enjoyable for the audience too.
And I can vouch for that. He is one of the best conversationists, I would say, out there.
Well, thank you, man. I try real hard.
So I know like you have mentioned that podcasting has always been a big topic that we want to get to, but we actually have a topic we both want to talk about because recently E3 just passed by. And
yes, it did.
So let's kind of literally just dive into the meat of the matter. And as I think I mentioned on your show, I'm on a gaming podcast, the Save Point podcast. With that group, we actually live streamed each conference together live, so we had separate ones. And
sounds like that was a brutal weekend.
It was a brutal weekend. What sucks is once we were done with all that, we were going to do, our final chat discussion that Thursday. And like I mentioned to you, I got sick recently. And
yeah.
I kind of missed out on that final conversation. I made it through all the conferences and live streams, but I was not able to make it to the actual discussion. And,
the wrap up?
Yeah, the wrap up. We're going to be finishing that up. Actually, today of this recording tonight, we're gonna have another live stream since all our podcast recordings are live.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so if you're listening to this now, it's gonna be over because I'm just gonna plug it in really quick. If you listen Thursdays at 7:00 Pacific Standard Time, 9:00 Central Time, 11:00 Eastern Time. So always look forward to that on Thursday nights for gaming news and so.
That's cool. I didn't know you were live. I might actually check that out.
Oh man, yeah, I appreciate it. Just hang out. I'm usually in the chat. We're just talking to people. But now I get a chance to actually talk about E3 a little bit with someone else. But yeah, so first question, which conferences did you check out like heavily?
I saw bits and pieces of Sony's conference. I was really just kind of tuning in for the trailers.
Okay.
I just kind of checked out, followed up on that. I still haven't seen stuff from Ghost of Tsushima, but that's like the only game I haven't seen, and Dreams. But then I saw all of Microsoft's conference because I had that on in the background. It was basically like what you were doing. I was watching somebody that I generally watch cover the conference, and it was like up on YouTube after the fact. So I got to see that whole thing. I didn't see anything of Ubisoft. I didn't check out Nintendo, not because I didn't want to, I just didn't follow up on it. And then there was some other stuff I saw. I felt like I saw a lot more. There was one other thing that I did see something of, and I don't remember. I saw a bunch of EA stuff, but I guess that was it, but I always confuse that for EA Play, which comes like the week before E3. So I'm not sure which one was which, but I pretty much wrapped that all up into E3. So EA, Microsoft, a bit of Sony, nothing of Ubisoft or Nintendo. And who else was there? Let me see if I might have also, I caught like glimpses of trailers and stuff after the fact too. So I don't know like the whole breadth of everything I saw.
I think the only other one is Bethesda.
Oh yeah, and I didn't catch that one, but I saw a lot of the stuff that came out of that one.
All right. So what is your main play? Like, what is the system you would normally play on? And we can kind of delve into those games.
So I'm primarily on PlayStation, but
okay.
I mean, I've played the Xbox before. I've owned an Xbox before, and the only reason I'm not a PC gamer is because I can't really afford it right now, and I don't have the technical know-how. I'm stupid and broke. And Other than like, I don't have any bias, is what I'm saying. I've never really been a big Nintendo fan, so I guess I do kind of have a bias, but that's just because their games never really appealed to me, not because I hated them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of like my work experience with video games.
All right, so let's go into then Sony. Sony, I'm trying to look over some of my old notes that I just took. So games that came out of that conference were The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, a game called Control by 505 Games.
Yeah, I think 505 is publishing, right? Isn't Remedy doing that one?
I believe so.
Yeah.
They announced...
People called that like a sequel to Quantum Break.
That's what I've been seeing. I'm a little sketch with that. God damn it! I hate that word. I hate my sister for making me say that word.
Yeah, that does sound like a little sister word. But go ahead. Sorry.
No. Let's see here. They announced Resident Evil 2.
Oh man, that looks so cool.
That was a really wonderful trailer. And I was like wondering what that was. Let's see here. The Rick and Morty game, Trevor Says, that came out of that.
Wait, there's a new Rick and Morty game?
Well, it's in, oh shit, what is it called? It's called Trevor Saves the World or something. It's not a Rick and Morty game, but it's in the style of Rick and Morty.
Oh, right. Is it attached to Justin Roiland? Is that what they call it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That, I remember that.
Some more Kingdom Hearts news. Like, that was the third trailer they posted on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Death Stranding, the trailer / gameplay. Noah 2, and then Spider-Man. Those are the main things that popped out of me.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was gonna say, like, what games kind of resonated with you on from that?
Well, off the top of my head, or off of that list rather, obviously The Last of Us 2. I'm a huge Last of Us fan. I mean, I have a Firefly tattoo on the back of my neck.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, cool. I'm seriously. I look at the Uncharted. I'm going to go off on a tangent here. But like, I like Naughty Dog a lot. I don't think they make the best games, but they do make the best story games. And The Last of Us 1 was a game that, well, I mean, you could even say was cliched, was really good in the way that they did that. And I think it was a big move forward for storytelling in games. So I'm very excited for The Last of Us 2. So much so that I just love every conversation that comes out of it. Like, a lot of stuff has been... You know what? We'll talk about that more in a second. I was going to talk about everybody's arguments about how overly violent the game is. But regardless. So The Last of Us 2 was really exciting. Everything I see of Spider-Man just makes me feel like a little kid. Like, I'm always interested. Like, you know me. You listen to a lot of my stuff, and we've talked a fair bit, and we are in communication pretty often. You know that I lean a little cynical. A little cynical is actually an understatement. I'm very cynical, and even of things that I love, like video games, like movies, like TV. Things I'm always just like, well, that sucks, or that's gonna suck, and I'm inclined to say that about pretty much every game. I didn't even think that they needed a sequel to The Last of Us, and it just kind of came up, right? Obviously, they were going to make one. But I lean a little cynical, and I love Insomniac games with, like, a deep burning passion. They were, like, I think one of the first, like, Spyro the Dragon was one of the first games I ever played. And I have a picture. I have a picture of me and Ted Price. When I was 18 years old, I met Ted Price.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he was doing a launch party for Resistance 2 here at San Francisco, because we had a PlayStation store in this building called the Metreon here. And so they were holding this event. I wanted Resistance 2. It was like, the special edition was like $20 off, and everybody was there. So I got a bunch of copies of my games made by them, made by Insomniac, signed by a bunch of the creators. And I got a picture with Ted Price that I still got laying around here. So I love Ted Price, I love Insomniac, I love pretty much everything they've done, and I love Spider-Man. So this is just a marriage of everything that, like, really, if you were going to hit Raul and his nostalgia, that's where these are the two people that you combine. It's Insomniac and Spider-Man. And, I'm watching out. I want to make sure that it's good. I want to make sure that I'm not, like, biased, but everything I see of it looks fucking amazing. And it's so colorful and like it's realistic looking, but it also has this very vibrant kind of comic booky art style that like if you're just at a glance you look at it, it's just like the color just pops off everything that they're doing. The character designs, like they revealed a bunch of fucking villains, a lot of villains from the Sinister Six, but
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
The character design was like very vibrant and super retro. It was you know what it feels like? It feels like for a while we were going through like an 80s revival, and we still kind of are, but naturally we're also moving into a 90s revival, and it feels super 90s, but like super high production value. And that's like crazy, right? And I'm not one of those people that flips out about 90s stuff. Like I'm not like your 90s kid would believe this, but like it reminds me a lot of the TV show.
Oh yeah, it's okay. I was like I remember watching those. It was like the older Peter Parker, and a lot of people don't really like that. But no, as far as the game goes, I've been seeing a lot of gameplay, and I've been keeping my ear out for any of the kind of influencers I would say I watch, and hearing what they have to say about, because I eventually one day I want to go to these conferences and actually check them out myself. Our plan is next year to hopefully go down there to California. For me it's like just a drive and a half.
Are you gonna try and get in there as press?
We're gonna try. Our fearless leader from our other podcast is kind of gunning for it, and I like more power to him. He has a goal in mind. I have a goal for some of the stuff I have, so I kind of see where he's trying to do. He's trying to do something more with the podcast, or the gaming podcast a little bit more, and if I can help anyway, that's great. And if he can get me into E3 next year, I'm going down there.
Yeah, conferences are cool. I've only been to the PlayStation Experience, and only as a guest, like, you know, a paying guest. So it wasn't like I got any special treatment. But
even with the press,
it was neat.
Yeah. I don't even with the press pass. I don't think we'll get special treatment. It sounds like
I mean, everybody can get one. Like if you have a website that's worth it half a shit, you're going to get a press pass, generally speaking. So
yeah. So
you know, it's not like it's that exclusive of a club.
No, I think for the most part, it's over the years I've been seeing that these conferences have been turning more for the general audience and letting people get a taste of it now instead of being so press exclusive. So
that has changed a lot. It used to, a couple years ago, it was very much about like, here's, you know, our big marketing ploy, and then all the press people get to see our gameplay, and now it's kind of the reverse. Like, it seems like the press people get fed very curated parts of people's games, while everybody else gets to see whatever demos are on the floor, which I think is the better way to do it.
No, yeah. But no, going back to the game, but Spider-Man looks amazing. My brother-in-law has the same feeling for Spider-Man as you do, and he's looking forward to that. And the second he buys it, I'm going to snatch it away and play it myself. Well, let's see here. Games for PlayStation that caught my eye were, as well, Last of Us. I have to buy The Last of Us Remastered because I only have it for the PS3, and I heard it looks beautiful on the PS4.
So I haven't played it on I have it on the Pro too, and I should really check it out. It has some pretty interesting like output options. Like there's 4 different output options on the Pro, which is fucking cool. But I haven't played it past like the first like 3 or 4 like not missions, but like the first 3 or 4 story beats. Like we're still inside of the quarantine zone.
Okay, if you end up like streaming it, I'll watch it because the story itself is worth the watch.
Yeah, you know what? I might actually do that. That's a good thing to stream. I've been kind of like out of things to stream, to be honest. I've been lacking in creativity in that department.
All right, let's see here. Death Stranding. Death Stranding is a game that a lot of people have been wanting to watch more of. And this trailer, when I was watching the whole conference, I was like amazed and confused and had so many questions that didn't get answered, and I was just throwing more questions.
I have something to say about that.
Go for it.
And I'm going to try and make this as concise as possible because I could very well go on a tangent. I just want to say, firstly, I've never been attuned. I'm saying attuned because it's not like I don't like Kojima games. but I've never been attuned to the stories he was trying to tell. Like, they were always, maybe it's just because I'm dumb. It's quite possible, given the odds, it's quite possible, right? So, I just never really got his stories. Even like Metal Gear Solid 2, I played through a lot of. Metal Gear Solid 3, I played through a lot of. And yeah, there was the stuff he was telling up front, but I never understood any of the like bigger, heavier messages he was trying to tell. Probably because they were kind of complex, I look at Death Stranding, and that I feel like that times 1,000, and I just don't get it. And everybody else talks about it like maybe they're part of the in-group, and they're like, oh, I totally get it, and I love Kojima, and what does it all mean? What story is he trying to tell? But I'm just like, I like, part of Death Stranding for me is like, it's hyped because it's confusing, and I think it's always going to be confusing because I'll never get it. And so I wonder if, like, like it's kind of like Destiny. Like, everybody was like, what's the story to Destiny going to be like? And it's like, there's no story. It's just confusing and stupid. And I'm not trying to compare Kojima to fucking Destiny, obviously, because he's a master storyteller. I can understand that. But rather just like, I want to see him explain all this shit. Like, what's the baby have to do with anything? What's the machine that just like flashes? Why are you trying to stealth with a flashing machine? I was just so confused about everything, to be honest.
Actually, yeah, I think that's kind of the point. I'm the type of person who, as far as video games go, like when, like I enjoy trying to see people figure out the lore. Like, I myself can't. Like, if I can't answer it myself, there's someone on the internet who is just digging into the lore, little piece by piece. Like, if someone has a reasonable explanation, I check out their video, see what they have to say, and then kind of refer to it myself. Like, I would say I would consider myself like a lore hunter. I enjoy just trying to figure things out on my own, but if I can't explain it, someone out there who has a little bit more time to waste probably has, and they can explain it to me. Because I know moving forward, there's probably a couple videos now out there trying to explain what's happening in the recent trailers. I haven't found any yet, but someone out there has.
Well, I mean, there's a video on Reddit right now that says how people decoded the music in the trailer.
Oh, they have. Okay,
there's some sort of message hidden there, and like, I mean, that's the thing. On anybody else, you'd think that's crazy and stupid. They're just weird. Like the Chiliad Mystery Mountain thing on Reddit, where people are like still trying to figure out stuff about Grand Theft Auto 5, about like the Chiliad, like the Mount Chiliad has like a fucking weird diagram at the top of it that you can stare at, and nobody knows what it's about, and people are trying to figure out for like years now. And
exactly.
You just think, this is stupid. I can't. They've already dug up all the files and done everything, and they found really kind of nothing. And I think this is just dumb. This is just like the developers trolling these people. But then with Kojima, it's always true. Like, there's always something hidden in what he's doing, and it's fucking insane. He must be like one of those super geniuses, Like, he must just be like a master at what he's doing. He just knows how to fuck with people the right way.
And I think to his credit, for his previous games, one of the games that we will never get was the PT that was out a couple years ago, and I think that's what kind of got people really hyped about this new game, is because that Silent Hill game that's never going to come out kind of really had all those hidden nooks and crannies and sound files and messages that got hunters looking, and that's what makes these trailers really interesting, because you have no idea what's happening. There's different things, and there's people out there that have way too much time on their hands, and I'm glad they do, because I don't.
Right.
But,
yeah, no, that PT thing. The PT thing is actually one of the saddest things to come out of this generation, because it was a really, really amazing demo that was fucking terrifying and really unique in the way that you had to approach even solving it, and fucking you can't even get it anymore. That's really upsetting about it. That's the thing that bothers me the most, is that Konami is such dicks.
Yeah. So there's a game we were just talking about a little earlier before we started recording, was Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
You haven't seen much of that, right?
No, I haven't.
So what I can tell you a little bit, it looks gorgeous. Like, the trailer, once you see it, it looks beautiful. The gameplay kind of feels, I hate using this term these days, but it's kind of like Dark Souls. I know, actually, it's more like, shoot, I always mispronounce it. Noah. I think it's Noah. Like Nioh. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Neo.
Neo. Why can't I? Yeah, it's more like Neo. Let's go. It's more like Neo. And it looks like it just looks gorgeous. It looks like it's gonna be a fun game to play. But that's one game that's on my list for sure as far as PlayStation is concerned.
I mean, like, the feudal Japan samurai era / setting has not been covered in video games in a pretty long time, I'd say. So it's about time that we return there. The same thing could be said for Westerns, but nobody's going to go near a Western again for years because of Red Dead.
Oh, no, yeah, that's going to have the market for a while. And the only thing, I don't know how much of a Kingdom Hearts fan you are, but I am a major one. I was happy about that.
I'm literally not a Kingdom Hearts fan at all. Like, before I even had a crazy hatred for Disney, I didn't like Kingdom Hearts. So now I'm just like, whatever. But I know I can understand that people really like it at this point. Like, I've gone literally, how long has Kingdom Hearts been a series? More than 10 years, right?
Yeah, 15 plus, because there's a 15th anniversary thing around here somewhere that I have.
Yeah, so I've gone literally that much time being like, I hate that fucking game, and everybody being like, but it's awesome, that I can acknowledge now that it's probably pretty good. I'll just never play it.
But no, yeah, for me, that's one of the games I've been waiting for a long time. I actually have a clip on my YouTube channel from the Xbox conference of me reacting to them getting the trailer first. And it's like really embarrassing, but I put it out there just because you can see how excited I really was about it.
All right, I actually now I want to go check this out.
Oh god, just don't put on your headphones. I literally ruined people's ears from that. But anyways, you can check it out. You can check it out on your own time. But you can see I freak out. Anyone listening to that, I'll put it in the link below if you want to check out that video. But yeah, it's a little embarrassing, but you can see me really just fangasm, you can say that. Okay, let's move to another conference. Xbox. You said you were watching that in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the most of Xbox. I think I was like editing a podcast while it was on or something.
So, like, I'm not the biggest Xbox fan. One, I don't own an Xbox, but I know that you can get almost any Xbox game for PC. So,
that is true.
So, like. I know it's kind of like being an asshole, but when anyone tells me that you should get an Xbox so we can play together, and my contradiction is like, if I want to play an Xbox game, why don't I just buy it on my computer? It'll play a lot nicer, look better. Why spend? I think what $400 on an Xbox?
Right.
I don't need to do that. No.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not exactly a PC guy, so I would go to an Xbox, if for nothing else, I really want to get my hands on an Xbox One X just because of the raw power, apparently. But
no. If you really want to play some of this stuff, I can help you build a computer, like, easy. That's basically what I went to school for.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No. Go ahead. Xbox.
Yeah. Anyway, the X. Yeah, I've never really hated Xbox, but like, I've always had an issue with their exclusives. I think people, for a long time, people were like, exclusives need to go away. Exclusives suck. And Sony was like, oh yeah, really? Okay, well, here you go, bitch. And like, everybody is like sucking Sony's dick this generation. And I mean, as far as their exclusives go, they're pretty good. I mean, some of them can be a little generic and samey, but I still like a lot of them, But Microsoft doesn't have that. They don't have a strong exclusive category unless you're counting like AA or indies, because they love hiring indies, right? But that doesn't sell consoles. And so I've never had a solid reason to buy one. And up until, the One X, the Xbox One performed poorer than the PlayStation 4. So I wasn't going to look at it in that respect either.
Okay.
So, I part of me kind of wants to get my hands on the hardware because of some of the like background features, because some of the UI and stuff that I hear about with Xbox, not the UI sucks from what I understand, but some of the features they have within the Xbox, like menus, are really cool. Would be really cool to see them on PlayStation or something like it. But beyond that, yeah, I mean, there's no real reason for me to buy an Xbox. They did show a bunch of world premieres, though. Like, they had the bulk of the world premieres.
I love that word, world premiere. Like, honestly, or exclusive. Like, every time I heard that, I kind of just cringed at some point. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, they had an interesting show in that there were very few people that went up and talked, and more just trailers and like, you know, exclusives was for their shit, and then world premiere was for all the other stuff. I mean, the thing to talk about is that Microsoft filled their conference with mostly stuff that isn't theirs. You know, that they don't own entirely. And I don't know what the reasoning behind that was or what you want to take from that. It's a little upsetting to see, but I guess. But at the same time, we still got to see a bunch of cool trailers for games that we wouldn't have otherwise.
And I believe Microsoft also had the most showcase games, if I remember correctly. So they kind of, as far as game numbers is concerned, they did showcase the most out of everyone.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff I'm excited about in the future that came out of that conference, or that I wouldn't have known about unless I had seen that conference. So
exactly.
First thing on my list, of course, first thing on probably every nerd's list, anybody who even remotely follows video games or has been alive in the last 3 years, probably is going to be Cyberpunk 2077.
Ooh, yes.
Go ahead, sorry.
No. I just I've been, like I said, I've been trying to watch anyone was lucky enough to get the exclusive, to watch there was like this exclusive panel that got to see some gameplay
trailer. Yeah, the 45-minute gameplay. Yeah, fucking, they're really tight-lipped. I've also been doing the same thing, and it's all been basically generic answers and like they were all just kind of like, it was amazing, but they wouldn't explain exactly why or what they saw.
Signing those waivers and stuff, like I want to know, because it sounds amazing, and you know what's good is that we're getting it from people that we feel like are honest with their audience, so that's what's good.
Well, I mean, there are people that I respect, but also people that I know are, you know, working for the games industry, so I have to take everything with a grain of salt. But it's very weird to hear from like publications in particular. Like, it's one thing to see YouTubers, but like, you know, when fucking Engadget and like, I don't know, who's another good website that people actually like?
IGN and GameStop.
Yeah, well, Game Informer. Like, if somebody from Game Informer says it's like the best trailer he's ever seen, like they're consistently good as a publication, right? If you know, somebody outside of the gaming ecosphere, like Forbes says it, it's like, well, Forbes doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about most of the time. Like, you know, if IGN says it, I'm like, I don't trust IGN. But if it's like a you know, reputable source, it's kind of weird to hear them fawning over a not done game. You know what I mean? Just a gameplay demo.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange. But I mean, it is also from like, you know, everybody's sweetheart developer, CD Projekt Red, right now, because they haven't done anything wrong.
But yeah, so that's one I'm really looking forward to. Let's see, the
trailer was cool, but we all know that was probably fake. So
yeah,
you know, and then we also know that it's going to be many, many years away. So
God, yes.
You know, I could be dead by the time it comes out. Who knows, right?
And another game along that nature, a ways from now, is Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that looked really nice, but like you said, it's a game that's still a ways from now.
Yeah, I didn't know they showed that there, but
was it not there? I thought it was there. I'm trying to check my notes.
Well, I think the you know, just to kind of bounce back onto CD Projekt Red, not necessarily Cyberpunk, but they just make games that are very like, you know, they're very interesting worlds to be in. They've built very, very, you know, from the ground up, very detailed worlds that people, you know, they feel lived in. And I got that same thing because I saw a bit from Perfect Dark? Is that what we were talking about just now? Yeah, I saw a bit of Perfect Dark 2, and all I could think was like, what is this game? It looks so interesting. And I've never played the first Perfect Dark, which is why I didn't recognize it immediately. But yeah, no, it seems like people are really interested in stuff like that now. That's all I was saying.
All right. Let's see here. Anything else from Microsoft that really got you?
Probably. Yeah. There's one thing, and then I don't know if this was at Microsoft or it was shown before E3 because I haven't heard anybody talking about this one. But the first thing that really like got me super pumped for anything coming out of E3 before Sony's conference was the announcement and the little bit of gameplay that they showed from Dying Light 2.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Right. A lot of people are like zombied out, but I love Dying Light, and I'm still on a playthrough of Dying Light right now. I'm like 30% through the story. I just play it all the time because it's like, to me, and I've said this before, I will go on record again, saying that Dying Light is the best zombie game of all time. I love it. It has flaws, but it's the best zombie game of all time. Like Kanye, it's that good. But yeah, so I was excited about that, but it was one of those same deals where it was just like there's no announcement for a date. Apparently it's got somebody, Chris Avalon, who worked on New Vegas.
Yes, it has a good cast. Not cast, it has a good list of people working on it, and
some pretty big major changes to the format of the game and how it works. So it's bringing a lot of new stuff that we didn't see in Dying Light 1 or the following, the DLC expansion, which had a lot of stuff to it. I was expecting we were going to get more of the same, but they didn't show any of the stuff that I'm used to seeing, which I'm sure will also be there. So I'm excited at all that, but I think you'd have to be like a super hardcore Dying Light fan, of which there are actually plenty, to really have noticed all of that. They showed a cool trailer, and they set it up well, but no announcement for a date makes me really sad.
All right.
I'll be waiting forever.
Just stay alive long enough for that.
Yeah.
Let's see. And anything else within Microsoft? Because the only thing I can really think of, the only other thing are like some of the follies they had were like that Gears of War pop mobile game that came out. That was like the dumbest thing they could have done for a Gears announcement. Like they did announce Gears of War 5, but they first started with Gears pop.
Yeah, no, they totally fucking trolled the whole audience. I remember I was watching that, and I'm not a Gears fan whatsoever. Like,
no, neither am I. But
at all.
Like I respect the franchise for what it is, but when you like do that to your fans, like really? Come on.
Well, I mean, like they did, like you said, they did eventually show a lot more of Gears 5, which I think people were clamoring for. But even that, like, I want to actually spend some time having a conversation about how poorly the gaming community has been reacting to female main characters, you know? Because I feel like Gears of War 5 got, like, slammed for having I can't say that this was the direct reason, but I feel like it got slammed for having a female main character. People were immediately like, this shit looks stupid. Like, that's all I saw out of the comments out of that. And I thought it actually looked really cool. Like, the story looked dumb, because it always looks dumb. It is dumb. But, like, I thought it actually looked pretty neat, despite, like, you know, I wasn't really, didn't care at all whether or not the main character was a man or a woman. I feel like there's a little bit of bias this year coming out of E3 because of that. Because there's been a lot of that. Like, even The Last of Us kind of got slammed because it was like, there's no way she'd be able to kick a guy's ass. Like, she's got weapons, man. Anybody could fuck you up with a weapon.
Kind of doing a little tangent there. Like I was watching the chat, and as I was watching that, a lot of people got surprised when she kind of made out with the girl, and I was like, why are you guys surprised? Did you guys not? Did you guys not play the DLC?
Right. That's like you guys are just finding something out that we've all known for literally over 5 years now. And now you're like, this is stupid. I didn't know she was gay. It's like, well, then you weren't paying attention, bro.
Like that's the thing. Is like every, like you said a while ago, every franchise has their core audience, their fan base, and they each react differently. And I'm no different. But I don't go like wholeheartedly overboard and try to like direct hatred towards something. I just like I don't know why people are just stupid. You know, that's my final note there.
I mean, I did want to talk about this because I was like in like the week before E3, I was in the Reddit just being like, Battlefield 5 is fucking stupid, y'all. This looks stupid, y'all. And everybody was like, you're ignorant, you're fucking sexist. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I have no problem with females being in a fucking Battlefield game, not at all. Now, would I think it would make sense in a more modern Battlefield game? Yeah, because I've actually been saying that since because I typically will play as a female character just because the perspective is different. Even if it's not, it's different than what you usually just play as a guy like 90% of the time anyway.
Oh god, yeah,
right?
That's true. Yep.
So why not, right? And so if I had the option to be like a female soldier in Battlefield 4, yeah, sure, all for it, right? But then Battlefield 5's trailer comes out, and not only is there a female soldier, but she also has a hook for her hand, and there's a dude with like a katana, and a dude with like, and like I'm having this conversation with people about like Battlefield 5 just went like backwards against its own identity, which was of somewhat authenticity in a World War II setting, no less, right? It's already a historical event, and they just went all crazy balls to the wall so they could shove microtransactions in the form of cosmetics in your face, and everybody's talking about it like this is like a big step forward for progressive politics inside of games. And I'm like, this is fucking a marketing ploy to get you to pay money for a game that, even if it's going to be good, sight unseen of the gameplay, even if it's going to be good, has already advertised to you by trying to like leverage goodwill, which is fucking a scumbag move as far as I am concerned. And so I'm in a bunch of these arguments with people, and I'm like, look, I'm not trying to discount the fact that women and people of color fought in World War II. I would very much rather highlight that. But you know what? Women and people of color did not fight in World War II with motherfucking ninjas and pirates here, people. And no one seems to get that, or no one seemed to get that, right? And then fast forward back to E3. We have all these announcements with different female characters or different changes up of how, the status quo, let's just say. We've got Ellie as the main character of The Last of Us kicking ass. We've got whoever the fuck, I don't even know who that character is in Gears 5 being the main character. And we have this immediately sour reaction from the audience. Like all of a sudden it's dumb because it has a girl. And I guess gamers are, let's agree, the gamers on the whole can be, and this is a mass generalization that you should never do, but on the whole, they can be a little bit immature and childish. Sure. I mean, I like video games. I'm a 27-year-old man. I can't say I'm not a little immature and childish. But like that kind of like almost stereotypical hatred, I felt really shitty. I was like, here I am trying to like make a point, and here these guys are making me look like an asshole.
Oh god. But no, yeah, I actually totally agree with your point. For the most part, as far as your final comments.
It's just really shitty to see, and like it gets to the point where it's irrational. I remember somebody was like, "So she's just gonna like we're gonna pretend that this 90-pound girl can kill a man with a full-grown man," and I'm like, if you hit somebody in the face with a brick, anybody can kill you after that. That'll fuck up anybody's day. And it's just like the people are just so irrationally sexist that it looks terrible. I guess that states that there's like a rational sexist, and I guess there isn't. But you know what I mean? Like it's just like it's out of this world full of shit, and it's hard to even like, it's hard to not immediately just be like, you're full of shit, guy.
Yep.
Anyway,
yep.
That was my thing. That was a big thing out of E3 that I did want to talk about. Sorry, I just got sidetracked. But no, that's a good point with Gears. Like it came out of Gears initially, and that was the thing I noticed.
Yeah.
The Gears fans are like rabid. I don't understand. Like I don't like Gears at all. Nothing about it appeals to me. But they're in love with it, and then immediately turned on it because they had a female character.
So yeah, that's what Microsoft did.
Yeah. There was something I was super excited about that wasn't Microsoft. Oh, Anthem.
I forgot about Anthem.
So what are your feelings about Anthem?
So
you and I are both like we've both played Destiny, right?
So there was two games I would consider kind of Destiny-esque. So they announced Anthem, or they didn't announce it, but we knew about Anthem, and then they also showed The Division 2.
Yes.
So let's talk about both of them because in a way similar. They're co-op mission horde looter shooters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So starting with Anthem, I can see some like interesting gameplay that it has my eye. It looks pretty. I think they're called javelins. Look amazing. Having 4-player co-op instead of 3 during missions seems really interesting. Now I'm just wondering. I want to know more because all they did was kind of show us a little bit more of what they did last year. And dang it, give me 1 second.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know if I'm recording. Are you getting? Sure. Probably. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Someone's knocking on my door.
No worries.
But anyways,
It happens.
what was I talking about? Okay, Anthem. But like I honestly just don't want another game like Destiny, an unpolished game. Like I played the first division, and it was another game where I was hoping for my friends and my family to play together like Destiny and just have fun with it. But that was a game we played for a month, and then it got trashed, and we paid $60. I don't want there's the thing. I don't want to pay full price for a game that I'm going to play for a few weeks, and then it's just going to sit in the back, and there goes my money. I'll state it that way.
Right. Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I mean, I barely ever pay full price for anything anymore, and so the idea of full price means that I have to either really respect you as a studio and like really, really trust your product, like The Last of Us or Spider-Man or something, or really want to get my hands on it, or you have to fucking just be a star in the reviews. Like if I wasn't paying attention at all and your shit just starts jumping to like 10s and 20s and shit, or I guess 20 isn't a fucking metric for reviews, but like you know what I'm saying, like 5 out of 5, yeah. 10 out of 10, it's a game of the generation type shit. Then I'll look your way. Chances are I'll like it if everybody else does. But I was trying to look at Anthem. Like I wanted to see as much of it as I could without listening to what they were saying, right? And unfortunately, there's really not that much footage out on Anthem. If you've seen it once, you've probably seen most of it, and that sucks because I want to see more of what they have to offer. It's just kind of like what you say. I feel like the Division, you're right. It lasted like a perfect month, and then it kind of fell apart, and it took them a long time for them to get that right again. And it's in a good place now, but it kind of just became more, it became, honestly, I feel like the Division became more generic as it got better and better. Like now it's just like you get on, you can kill anything and get gear all the time. It's like Diablo with guns, Yeah. If you're not, like, it's very, very similar to that, it feels like, which isn't a bad thing if you're into that type of shit. Whereas Destiny had like, there was a little bit of special to it with like different weapon, especially Destiny 1, you got like randomized weapon rolls and things like that. And I think they eventually brought that back in Destiny 2.
They will.
The problem with those type of games is, especially in how they market them, is content and is it polished enough? Does it like feel complete? Because both of those games, Destiny and The Division, were games that got shit added to it way after the fact, well into like years down the line, and then ultimately felt like more complete experiences. But a lot of that, in fact, was hidden behind more paywalls. Like $40 season passes and things like that. And sometimes with Destiny, 2 of them.
Actually, I want to talk a little bit about that after this.
Yeah. So like, I want a game that gives me that experience without having to pay $130 fucking dollars. And so I'm interested to see what else there is to offer, because like we were talking about earlier, it seems like what they showed was very curated. But then on the other side of that, the important part, and this is the thing that Destiny and Division both, Division less so, both kind of nailed, was that your game has to be fun to play. And everything that I'm hearing about from people that I actually really respect as, journalists or games journalists, they're like, yeah, no, what I played was actually really fun, despite what, you might have seen, or it's hard to explain. Some people say that it was hard to explain how much fun it is, because it's kind of like interesting how you can use combos. And then, on a third and altogether completely different level, I really liked Mass Effect, the series Mass Effect. I was really into Mass Effect.
I was as well.
And Mass Effect 3 even had like a co-op multiplayer that was like
yes,
map-based. You played this, I assume.
I played a lot of it with my cousins. Like, I convinced two of my cousins to play it, but I like that setup they did for that, where they had, it was a wave game, like enemies.
Yeah, it was like an arena that you entered, and then like they came in by waves, and there were objectives every couple waves.
And that's what made it fun. It's like there was also objectives that kind of devolved, just like, it's not just killing enemies. There's other things to do, and I love that.
So some of the things they showed was a revival of the combo system from that in Mass Effect 3 and 2, and all the Mass Effects that you could combo moves with. Like, they had somebody freeze a bunch of enemies with like a grenade and somebody else blow them up, and it did extra combo damage. And that type of gameplay was really exciting in Mass Effect 3. It was one of the things that I've always really wanted them to bring back, and they've put that in there. It's there. And that leads me to wonder, like, what other kind of things have they refined? This is BioWare. So what other kind of things have they refined from that combat system and added in and changed, and how does it work in this world? So I'm, like, intrigued. Part of the reason why I'm so latched on to the project is because I'm intrigued to see what they've learned from their previous titles. But yeah, they're still not going to get my $60 if it's not a good game. So I'm actually kind of watching it closely, but I'm crossing my fingers that they're nailing it. Like, because if they can do better where Destiny and The Division have failed, then that's excellent. But if they're just going to try and pass us off as another Destiny or The Division, well, then I feel like gamers have wisened up. But if you can fill that role and actually nail it, then that's going to win a lot of hearts and minds over, including mine, I think.
All right. Yes. Good points all around. But moving with that, talking about some pricing and all this, like, annoyance that we have to deal with as gamers in this generation. So 2 points. First one with Destiny. So Destiny announced that they have their new expansion, The Forsaken, out. Mm-hmm. It's going to be whoa, that humming. Anyways.
Yeah, I heard that.
That's weird. Anyways, I don't know. It's bugging me out a little bit. If anyone's listening and you guys hear buzzing behind you, that's happening everywhere. But anyways, talking about the new expansion, Forsaken. Like, I watched the actual 1 hour Bungie conference that explains their roadmap for that setup, and it looks really interesting. And I, as a Destiny player, I still enjoy the game. It's finally getting to a point where I'm actually enjoying it again. And hearing everything I saw, like rerolls, random rolls on weapons, better looking gear, all new setup, new content. Mm-hmm. Like, it has me interested. Now here's the thing, I don't know if you know. Now the new expansion is going to be $60. This is the DLC. Okay. Wait, I'm not even done yet.
What the fuck?
Okay, wait.
Go ahead. Yeah, let's hear this.
So there's that. But then there's this annual pass for the $35 that you can get for other content further along the line. Now, you can buy both these, the next DLC pack, or next expansion, plus the annual pass together for $5 less, for $90. For $90, you get all this new Destiny content for year 2. Initial thoughts, hearing that new content, $90 more.
Okay, so I wasn't aware of the pricing. I was aware that some of this new content, and even, I might be mistaken, so feel free to correct me, but aren't some of the, like, quality of life updates even hidden behind some of this annual pass stuff?
No, so any quality of life stuff is already done for you. They have fixed that from Destiny 1. Destiny 1 had some of that issue where you couldn't get specific stuff.
So if I wanted to buy the game right now and not want to invest anything at all, I could still get like random loot rolls on my weapons.
Yes. So
okay, all right.
quality of life stuff is out there. It's just It's just specific weapons, anything locked behind specific things you won't be able to get.
Right. Okay. So yeah, my initial thoughts. Yeah, I didn't know about the price. So you said it's $90 altogether, and then what is it separate from that? It's like what?
So
it's like 100 flat.
60 for the expansion, and then $35 for the annual pass. And if you get it together, it's $90.
$90 fucking dollars.
Exactly.
For my already what?
You gotta
how much was the season pass for Destiny 2?
I think it's $40. So you're paying
my already $100 game, another $90.
Exactly. So, like for me, it's telling me you have to throw me another $90, or is it 70? I don't know. It's just money. You're giving me more money. Give me more money, and you get more stuff. And I'm like, why do I have to do that? Like, I actually would have been fine with just a $40 expansion. I might actually be wrong, but it's a lot of money. Like, anything past a full game price, anything above $60 sounds way too much. Am I not wrong in saying that?
No, absolutely. I mean anything $60. If it's going to cost, it's the same. It's an expansion, and it's just. Sorry, I'm flustered here.
I know that's exactly.
So it's not a new game, but it costs the same price as a new game. Like and this is Destiny. Like never mind all the times you've burned the community before, because I've been part of that community for plenty of time. Never mind all of that. This is fucking Destiny, and you're trying to convince me that you're going to give me a whole game's worth of content and an expansion. You're out of your fucking mind. And the crazy thing is, and here's the thing, right? Like this is the issue about this that bothers me the most. You're a fan of Destiny. I even like the way Destiny plays and have played it for a long time just based on that alone. I'm sure plenty of us have, a lot of us have done it just like that, like just played because it felt so good to keep going. So like they know people are latched onto this, right? And I'm completely against this idea. You seem like you're just like, I don't want to spend that much money. So you're resistant to it too. But people are going to pay for it.
That is exactly true. Like,
and I just don't understand how people can love, like we used to make the joke. It's like, playing Destiny is like having a really abusive relationship with someone. Like you literally just like you're in these loops of times where you're having a good time and you're not paying attention to the bad shit, and then you're in this other like cycle, and then you slide into the cycle of like, I hate this. Why am I still doing this? I hate this. And then even if you manage to like get away from it for a little while, sooner or later you'll just go back. You're like a battered wife, just like, please, Destiny, give me the thing I need, and it's just there, just fucking you up all the goddamn time. And people are hooked. Like I spent so much time in Destiny, man. Like it's embarrassing.
I know I'm in the same boat you are, man. That was my bread and butter for a while until Destiny 2 came out. And even that's nothing these days. But I've been getting back into it now that it's better, but just hearing the amount of actual money, I'm going to just say that actual money, not even time spent. I will put time in the game if it's worth it, but money spent is the key point. Like, it's just frustrating,
Well, and here's the funny thing. They also have transactions baked into this game. So, there's, I don't know if they've ended up changing the way progression works after you hit, or the way bright engram progression works after a certain point, because I remember there was a big controversy there about that.
They fixed it, but they haven't fixed it all the way, but they did fix it.
Okay, well, that's my point, right? Like, there's already something there which continues to motivate players to buy microtransactions, which means that no matter who's on, they're making money off of them every day. Then they're charging for content. They're charging premium prices for content on top of their premium priced game. Like, it is egregious the amount of money they're getting out of this experience, and you know that they're making it because they're continuing on with this venture. And they could very easily, if they wanted to win everybody over, they could very easily say, you know, they could even adjust the prices here and win people over. Like the annual pass is now just $10. You know, like pull a Fortnite on some motherfuckers and just be like, just $10. Anybody can afford $10. And then if they like, obviously they can't go back on this. But what I'm saying is that like they don't even care about how poorly they're handling the goodwill of their already like people that respect them for some fucking reason, and really want to see more of this game. And so like they could have easily just been like, this expansion is going to be free because they've made a shit ton of money. We all know it. Mm-hmm. This expansion is going to be free, and the annual pass is going to be $10. And you know the annual pass has whatever, and the expansion has a shit ton of stuff in it because they've, like I said, made enough money off of their microtransactions. And then it wouldn't make it seem as bad that those microtransactions exist. I'm not against microtransactions. We both were just talking about Mass Effect. They fueled that game's post-launch content, and some of the multiplayer stuff in Mass Effect was some of the most unique stuff I've gotten to play in the last 10 years. And you know, that was an amazing application of, you know, free or or I guess loot boxes. Unfortunately, that game ran on loot boxes. But you know, if you're gonna have them in there, make it in a way that like serves the how you're doing it. But they're just making money hand over fist, and like, you know, laughing all the way to the bank, and everybody can see it happening, and no one cares, and it's insane. You know, like that's why I really want Anthem to do well. I hate EA. They're as much of the devil as Activision. A bit. I think the joke I had is EA is the worst video game company run by people. Activision is the worst video game company run by demons. And you know, and I stand by that. So I don't like EA at all. But if they can create a competitor that will light a fire under Activision's ass to maybe change some shit, then I'd like to see that, because competition breeds good things for consumers. But yeah, no, back to that. Just that price point is fucking outrageous.
I might be off by a 10 or $20, but it's still over $60, which is way too much for anything.
Yeah, over $60 for something that isn't a brand new game is way too much money. And I mean, I don't know what this is, honestly. It seems like I'm not particularly smart. We were just talking about how I can't even build a computer. Like, these people make video games. I'm sure somebody knows this isn't the right way to go about this. So either they absolutely don't fucking care, or maybe they're just bleeding as much money out of this project as they can, and they're not even going to bother with further installments. From what I understand, I mean, nobody really respects or cares to see what Destiny 3 might look like at this point after 2 garbage fires.
Actually, I think they are working on it right now.
Are you that's insane.
Yeah, I think they just started working on Destiny 3 at the moment.
Oh my god. All right, well, there goes that idea.
But let's kind of move away from that, because I had a second point. My second point is, talking about money and stuff. I think it was the Microsoft conference. They announced a subscription plan to play their games. All
right, they've had that for a while.
So actually, they're updating their list now. Right. So they're adding more retro games and now adding and launch titles now. Yeah. So I think PlayStation does it too, and EA does it, if I'm remembering correctly. So what do you think of this model? Like, from everything I've been seeing and from my own opinion, I think it's a good model for people who don't want to spend X amount of money on some of the newest titles.
I think it's really interesting because, like, obviously it doesn't cover every game, but it covers a lot of exclusives. Like, if Sony did that, it would be amazing, right? They don't allow that type of stuff on the PlayStation, but EA does have an app for that shit, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's really, really cool. Like I said before, I wouldn't trust EA with a monthly subscription or my money. That's fucking insane. Excuse me. That's fucking insane. But you know, if I want to play a game by those people and it's $60 and I don't have $60, or I don't want to spend $60, like I so often don't, you know, I just said I don't pay for games full price. That seems like a great option. Like, even if you were subscribed to 6 different platforms that cost you $10 each and you were paying $60 a month, you probably have access to way more games than just one game. And that $60 is one game, you know? So, on its own, I think it's a great plan. And I think it also it does two things too. It motivates other people to do it also, which is good because it leads to, like I said, good stuff. And as a little ancillary benefit, it kills GameStop a little bit further. It just drives the last knife and it twists. And that always makes me happy. So I think it's a great idea.
So, yes, I'm just hoping they make use of their catalog, make use of their services. And I think moving forward, this can be a very positive thing for your average gamer who doesn't have X amount of money to spend, but does want to enjoy playing the latest hits out there. So,
well, you know what I saw? This was for PlayStation Now, but apparently PlayStation Now is going to start allowing downloads, which essentially makes it the same kind of thing, as the other as like the Xbox Game Pass or the EA whatever the fuck it's called thing,
Interesting.
And I that came out of a week later after E3. It was like a silent announcement, but I heard that and that was my first thought. I was like, isn't that just going to make it like a paid streaming or a download service thing? And if that's the case, then that's going to be awesome because I might actually, because point I'm making here is that people don't say anything positive about PlayStation Now as of right now. Like, there's really no reason to have it. And if you're playing for the Ouya game streaming thing, it doesn't work really well unless you have a really good connection. And so it's not like, there's nothing to write home about, but it seems like PlayStation is considering pivoting and using that platform to do their next thing. I don't know for sure. It's just a guess. I'm not like an insider by any stretch of the imagination. But like I said, I'm sure that PlayStation is paying attention to this. So, if they see that it's a successful way to do things, and PlayStation in particular is all about keeping people within their ecosystem. Like, that's why they don't like crossplay, right?
Oh, God, I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, we can. If it's going to bring people over and keep them there, PlayStation's going to be keeping an eye out for it. So I think it might be it's going to be interesting to watch that over the next year or so.
Yes, you made a lot of great points there, and mostly the point of keeping their player base within themselves and kind of like saying F you to everyone else. So I think you already know.
There's a fire in the PlayStation community right now.
So I think we're both talking about the same thing, the whole Fortnite fiasco, right?
Yeah.
So let's kind of then transition to the Nintendo conference a little bit here, because Nintendo announced they have Fortnite for their system.
Right. And
that was okay. We kind of figured it was eventually going to show up on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great for the people who play Switch and everything. But what happened was people found out that you're not able to transfer your account over from PlayStation to Switch. So you would have to make a new account and buy all your stuff, unlike every other platform where you can have it all in just one Epic account.
Yeah, Epic account, right? They're locked per PlayStation.
And Sony's been getting a lot of shit because of that, and I don't why not play nice? And I think it was actually kind of funny. I heard this earlier was that I think it was Microsoft was the first person who wasn't playing nice when Sony was trying to do crossplay with them a couple years back.
That's true.
And now it's Sony who doesn't want to play nice with anyone, and it's like, come on, guys. But
I mean, there's a lot of layers to this. Hello? Yeah. There's a lot of layers to this. I just want to make sure I wasn't cutting you off. There's a lot of layers to this where, at first you have the first contact problem, right? Of way back when, I think it was more than 5 years ago. It was a different scenario because Sony was not at the top of their game. Sony was the underdog last generation with the PlayStation 3. And so they were like, hey, we want to do crossplay. And Microsoft was like, no, fuck you, because Microsoft was killing it. And, Sony then gained a lot of steam throughout that life cycle and then launched the PlayStation 4 at a lower price point and everybody flocked over. and people love the PlayStation 4 now. And now that we're on top, or now that Sony's on top, I'm not going to say we because I just own a PlayStation. Now that Sony's on top, they can be like, no, fuck you to people who are like making cross-platform things. So there's two things going on just with that alone. One, it seems like anybody who's not like, winning based on complete console sales and just money earned per year or whatever the fuck you want to, whatever metric you want to do, whoever's not at the top is the one trying to leverage the goodwill of the people by saying, look, we're trying to connect all gamers. And then it always seems like the guy who's on top is like, fuck you, I don't have to. Right? Which seems like that's what's going on. So then we get into Epic and all this. That's all good and well, right? They did it with Minecraft. I think Sony also did it with Rocket League. And to an extent, that makes sense because those were all things within the game. Even if it is just flipping a switch, it makes sense that they would keep you from... okay, weird. Sorry, I just got a weird notification. Okay.
I sent you a picture of one of the tweets that just happened today about Nintendo to Xbox.
Okay, let's see this.
So for people listening, Raul's gonna see it. So it's a tweet that happened earlier. It says, "Hey Xbox, since we can play together in Minecraft now, did you want to build something?" And Xbox replies, "Our bodies are ready. What are we building?" And Minecraft is, since you two seem lovey-dovey, why don't we try building something like this? And they have this picture of a heart. And then Xbox goes along, and it's just basically Xbox and Nintendo and Minecraft, just like having a fun hit on Sony right now.
Right.
It's hilarious, and
yeah. So like I said, with Minecraft, with Rocket League, those make sense because they're in the game. But you do have an Epic account that you create when you apparently log into Fortnite, right? And they're locked. And not only is the PlayStation locked to that account, like you can't take your account anywhere else. Not only. That's the problem. The PlayStation is locked to the account, and you can't take that account on anywhere else, despite it being where all of your progress is saved. That to me, and I'm a lover of Sony, that to me seems extremely shitty. That's like extra control that nobody really asked for, and I think that's a little bit of a dick move on Sony's part.
Couldn't have said it any better. I
don't care. I don't like Fortnite, or I don't play Minecraft. And when I play Minecraft, I certainly don't fucking want to play with other people because they just fuck everything up. And
hey, I don't fuck anything up.
I'm terrible at Rocket League, so it doesn't apply to me, which is why it's not such a serious issue. But I mean, regardless, there are people that spent money that bought like what is it, season passes or whatever the fuck for however much money, and made a lot of progress that don't appreciate not being able to own that progress fully. I think ultimately there's nothing we can do about it, but it does just kind of reek of like Sony being petty for no other reason other than to just keep people coming to their platform, which is already a successful platform, not because of underhanded tactics, but because of good game, Yeah.
So, yeah, Sony's kind of, publicity-wise, or PR-wise, it's kind of hitting the fan at the moment. But we're just going to have to wait and see how that goes. And Fortnite itself, not Fortnite, Epic itself as a company is going to have to deal with Bluehole, if I have to remember, that's the company that does PUBG.
Yeah, they do PUBG.
So that there's a whole other shitstorm over there happening. So
I have a quick question about that, right?
Yeah, go for it, man.
I kind of lost my train of thoughts. I'm trying to recall it. Hopefully it'll come back in a proper amount of time. Vamp for me while I get some water, and then I'll figure it out.
All right. So everyone, look forward to me and Raul's Minecraft stream coming soon to every listener out there. And maybe even some Rocket League. Go for it.
Okay, so yeah, my thing is, do you think that maybe it's not creating that much of a shitstorm? Maybe it's not that much of a bad publicity thing? Like, yeah, for any logical person or somebody who actually likes games, like loves games, appreciate games as a whole, not necessarily for what system they play on. Anybody can look at the problem and be like, this isn't okay, or this is at least a little stupid, right? But there's a lot of fanboys out there, which I imagine takes a big chunk of the community, that don't give a fuck, and they're just like, whatever, bro, PlayStation is God right now. I was maybe not that extreme, but there were times where I was like, I don't give a fuck, PlayStation's my dude, back in the PS3 days. But I
was in that same boat. But
I wonder if there's just not a contingent. There's people who are legitimately upset about this. I wonder if there's not also another contingent of people who are just like, fuck it, Sony's God, and every time they hear Sony come up in the news, they're like, they don't gotta do shit. Like people that Sony's already won over. Essentially the propaganda has worked.
I think some of the people kind of like our generation, like since we grew up with the Sony PlayStation as a whole, I think we have grown to understand, like an understanding that there are things that, how do I say this, like morally, it's like, not morally, like why can't we get some things working like the way they're supposed to? Kind of like how movies have recently done it. Like I know you and me have talked in your on your podcast about Marvel's movies, where Fox and Disney have had their issues, but they were able to come together to finally make the Spider-Man movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like our generation is now in that age group where we understand some of the not legality, but more the, I don't like saying the word morals of like just being able to play games with other people. Like I think we are the ones that are going to be kind of setting some of the new things out there. Like our voices are now heard more than ever thanks to social media and things like that. And
yes.
but thanks to that, there are some people who also, like you said, the fanboys who put a negative spin on that and kind of either just like bring some of our like points too far, push too far, or try to push the right answer, and I'm using the word right loosely, the right answer, and try to bring it down.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to happen in any place where there's especially an anonymous social forum, like people are just going to be toting whatever they want without any real facts or just, care for the actual implications of what they're saying. It's sad because fanboyism, I don't think it does anybody any good. So, but it was just something I was curious about. Like, do you think that it's created that much of a shitstorm? I think it's definitely gained some ill will. But I don't know if it's really made a huge impact on the whole PlayStation community, because there's a lot of people out there that just don't care.
I think in certain sections of it, yeah. But I think for the most part, people are just trying to stay away from it as much as possible. They're just like they'll put in their 2 cents, but if they feel that it's not even worth it, like I can get into Reddit and start looking at comments and stuff, and if I honestly don't want to, what's the best way to put it? Like, delve into the black hole that is Reddit. Like, I'm just gonna ignore the topic and just head out. I'm not even gonna downvote or.
You should see my Reddit comments for the last 3 weeks. I've been getting into arguments with people left and right. I'm in love with it. It's great.
I should just follow you on Reddit.
It's fucking hilarious. Yeah, no, I mean, Reddit is a bad place to go if you want a measured opinion of anything. Everybody's a hater of something, and Reddit seems to be a place where miserable people congregate. Myself included sometimes. I'm definitely shit-talking a handful of times, too. But, yeah, no, I think I've noticed that lately, is that Reddit is just filled with, venomous assholes.
I don't know, I can't contradict that. That's the right thing, I'm not gonna lie. That's what it is. Depending on what forums you're in or what subreddits you're in.
That is true. I mean, it all depends, like anything, like any other community. Whatever, though. We're not talking about Reddit. What else from E3?
So, going with the kind of the Fortnite thing, so Nintendo, the only other big thing from Nintendo was their Smash Brothers announcement.
It's a lot. My girlfriend's a big fan of Smash Brothers, so I was like, because I'm not familiar with these games, I want to reach out and get opinions from other people. And so when that happened, I was like, what do you think about that? And she goes, I was kind of meh about it. Like, she's not a huge Smash Brothers fan, but she played a lot of it. And she was like, I was kind of meh about it. I'm like, that's upsetting. I figured you would have been really excited. So what did you think about it? Are you a fan, a Nintendo fan?
So I am a Nintendo fan. Not a big fan, but I am I am a fan of their stuff. As far as I'll just say this: the conference themselves, I'm going to say 1/3 of it was some of their other games that are going to come out, and the other 2/3 was literally all Smash Brothers. That's what the conference.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they showcase so much Smash Brothers that I was like, wow, like I didn't know they were going to do that, because I was hoping they were going to, like other conferences, showcase a bunch of games and stuff like that. But no, they put all their time into Smash Brothers. And while watching it, because what they did was they announced the entire roster that they were going to put out. They announced a couple of the game changes that they put in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they introduced a new character. So, watching it, I was happy to see that every single character that's ever been in Smash Brothers is announced for the game. Anything that was DLC or only showed up in like Melee or Brawl, everyone's back. And there's about 64 characters in the game now. And they're like, did you play the first Smash Brothers?
I think I played Melee.
Okay. So, in the original Smash Brothers, you only had 8 characters, and then you had to unlock the other 4 to get all 12. And they're bringing that concept back, that you only start with a small roster, and you have to unlock every other character through specific events, like they did in the original game.
Cool.
And I like that. Like, it makes you want to play the game and complete specific objectives.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like the completionist dream. It's like you have a whole, it's literally like a whole roster that kind of acts as a checklist.
Okay. And the whole, then, how they changed some of the characters, because they did like an intensive look on specific characters and how they changed some of their specific moves or changed their everything. I felt that was more for the more advanced people who for Smash Bros. Is like something competitively. Why can't I say competitively? There it is.
There it is.
Something that's competitively done for them, like for the community. Like they did a lot of really wonderful changes, which was amazing. And then just the new character of Ridley from the Metro games was really fun, because they did a little CGI trailer, and everyone's been wanting Ridley to come to the game for a very long time. But overall, I was happy about Smash, but I wanted more from Nintendo. But yeah, I was just happy.
Cool. I think, that sounds really cool. First off, I don't think I've ever seen a fighting game that had that many fucking characters in it. So that sounds cool. Like, if they're all balanced well, and I feel like they probably would be, because it sounds like they put a lot of effort into showing this game. It sounds like there's a lot of stuff for a lot of people to like, and the Smash Brothers has been a fucking lauded series for a very long time, and rightfully so. And you even mentioned that they're adding stuff for more advanced players, which I've known my fair share of advanced Smash Brothers players, who I always think that's the most unserious thing I've ever heard in my life, but whatever. But I know those people would love that shit.
Hey, look forward for. There's a little bit of an announcement. So, Manny from the Inner Monologue is actually going to be on a Twitch stream, is going to be playing a competitive. What is it? Fuck. I think
Smash Brothers contest or tournament.
Yes. Now he's not going to be in it, but he's going to be facing against someone on a live stream. I'll post that on Twitter so everyone can watch. But yeah, Manny's going to be going against an actual fighting professional.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So that should be fun, right? Look forward to that.
I don't know. Is he going to get his ass kicked completely, or is he really good?
No, he's going to get his ass kicked.
Okay.
But it's gonna be fun to watch. But no, yeah, look forward to that. But no, continue with the whole.
Yeah. So no, I mean that's interesting. I think that's really cool. What else was I gonna say? I feel like there was something else I was gonna bring up, but it must not have been like hyper important. It was like some sort of really just off the like just side comment. Nothing terrible about it. Just like something I wanted to say that was probably funny. We can just move on. There's nothing important.
Yeah, no. As far as Smash Brothers, it's just a lot of characters, mechanics, and it's gonna be overall. It's just gonna be a fun beat 'em up game for everyone to play.
I remember what I was gonna say.
Go for it.
And this has nothing to do with Smash Brothers, actually.
Oh, no, go for it. Yeah.
So, but it does have to do with Nintendo. I was excited. I saw the Switch as a cool device. I wasn't crazy about it. I got to play one, and I was like, oh, this is actually really neat. And I got like really into like the 15 minutes of Breath of the Wild that I got to like get into, but I never really got to play any of it beyond that little bit of time. And all I could think was, well, Breath of the Wild's cool. I'm not a Mario guy, so I wouldn't have bought Odyssey or anything, but I feel like there was a lot of people. There was a huge contingent of people who had bought new Switches because it was like the new thing to buy, and also people who had bought new Switches because they're Nintendo fans. And I feel like there were a lot of people kind of waiting with bated breath this E3 for them to come out with, yo, no, and then people say Nintendo doesn't have any games. Well, we got games now, bitch. But instead they just showed like one game and then like a couple of other things. Like you said, you were left wanting more. And so, and this is just a doomsayer. This is me being cynical. I wonder if this isn't going to be another trend where we see Nintendo do something that's very innovative and cool, but also not be able to properly support it with games or third-party support, even though they are getting a lot more third-party support than they were.
Yeah, I was actually about to mention that, but you're actually right, because I actually was almost one of the people who went out to buy the new Switch when it came out. I was about to, but at that point I just didn't have the money, right. and as some of the games were coming out, like Breath of the Wild and Mario and Rabbids, Odyssey, games like that, who got a lot of good claims. At around that time, the Switch was out for a reasonable amount of time, but I didn't see myself spending, I think it's like $300 for a Switch. And I'm almost at that point. I think the only games right now that are really that are going to want me to buy a Switch are Smash Brothers and the new Let's Go Pokemon games that are coming out.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, those are another ones. And then kind of the catalog of the games that are already out would be Breath of the Wild and Odyssey. But like you said, like I said, I was hoping for more games out there that makes me say, yes, finally, it's worth me spending $300 for a Switch, not just because of the gimmick of portability, because there are games out there that I want to play.
Yeah, I think like people are, they're really pushing that, and it seems like, Nintendo's paying attention to that, and that they're like, hey, yeah, look, no, we made a device, not just a console, but a device that is specifically tailored to multiplayer and portability, things that we have seen are very successful. But then, they're just also not going to support it with games. It's like, yeah, okay, you worked a lot on the device, but there's a second part to this.
So yeah, now we're gonna have to watch the Switch. I think the Switch is gonna be a wonderful console for Nintendo at this point. Let's just see how well they work with it for the next few years. And
yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if it goes well or not. I hope it does, because there are a bunch of people that now own them that are banking on that,
And I will be one of them soon. come holiday season. But let's kind of move then to one of the bigger conferences, Bethesda.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot. I keep forgetting about them.
Yeah, I don't. I have like a whole.
Trying to forget about them.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's the question there.
Yeah, I didn't get to see a lot of it, but I got to see the bits. I tuned in for bits and pieces, right? So, I have not seen anything on this, but apparently they launched a Prey DLC.
Yes, Prey DLC.
I was really into Prey for like 20 minutes. Like I bought it, I think at like fucking full fucking price, and then it was on sale like hella times in the next like several months. But I liked it because it sounded like a really cool game. I had it spoiled for me, and I've not been able to return to it since I bought it. But it is like on my list. What I should really do is just turn the difficulty down and just run right through it. But it's that's a cool game, and apparently this new one is like a bunch of. They say that there's infinite playability. I don't know what the fuck that means.
So okay. So let me try to remember exactly. So the DLC is a two-parter. So like there's two parts they're adding. One, they're adding this kind of, what is it called? Like this infinite loop kind of thing where like you'll have like small objectives to do, and every time you enter the game, different enemies will spawn, and it's just like a randomized thing. So you'll get different events different times. For a finite thing, but you'll have different experience every time you play.
Right. That sounds interesting, but yeah, I didn't see that. We can move forward with something else. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. And they're adding a bunch of new creatures and things along that nature.
Okay, cool. I wonder if this isn't pointing to a sequel to Prey, because people really liked it, but it was kind of a sleeper hit.
Interesting. And then the second part of the DLC is like this multiplayer aspect where have you ever seen the game Prop Hunt?
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, I have. That actually sounds amazing.
So it's gonna be one what are those creatures called?
I think they were called mimics.
Mimics. So there's gonna be 5 mimics and 1 character, and the mimics are just gonna be hiding around, ready to attack you. And so
that seems cool. Like I like that because at least it makes sense. Interesting that they're making it multiplayer. Obviously they would have to, but interesting that that's like an added feature they're adding to a game that has no multiplayer in it whatsoever.
So yeah, so keep an eye out for that.
I think didn't that release the day of the conference? Isn't that out right now?
I can double check. I'm not sure.
I think there's another game we also missed. This isn't part of any conference, but did you check out anything on Hitman?
No, I didn't. What's funny is I didn't actually see anything on that until someone posted it on my Discord. I'm like, wait, what? There's Hitman stuff announced, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of the things weren't
showcase. They were just
showcase.
Announced.
Yes. Oh, it is. Yes, the update's out already. So yeah, the DLC is already out.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's another thing right there. Let's see, what else did Bethesda do? Oh, they announced the next Doom Eternal. So
yes, they announced it, but did they show anything?
No, they just had this like really nice like kind of end credit thing where you can see like the world, and it looks really. They made it look like hell on earth, which is going to be interesting.
Right. Okay.
And they talked about it a little bit.
So I'm curious why they call it Eternal instead of Doom 2. Or
some marketing thing. I can feel it's some marketing thing,
Yeah, I get the sense that there's going to be some sort of like, well, I mean, and this because it's on the same like development thing as not development, but it's the same conference as the Prey thing. I wonder if there might not be some sort of like infinite or random generation aspect to at least one mode of the game. I'm sure it'll have its own story, but I wonder if there's not some sort of extra thing, because they also had like a map creator and a multiplayer section of the original, or not the Doom remake, and I think map creator was used a lot, but multiplayer was just shit all over. People hated that.
Okay, but I did hear about the map creator, so
I wonder if it didn't have something to do with that.
Interesting. I'll just have to see on that. The next game was Rage 2. Now, this game was leaked like a week or a week and a half early before they announced it. And then they had to like push trailer the next day just to kind of just like levy some of the stuff that was happening.
Right.
And it looks interesting. It's going to be basically this post-apocalyptic kind of what's the best way to describe it? It's a first-person shooter with some like weird abilities, kind of like I heard them kind of describe it like what is it? Borderlands.
Okay.
So this crazy post-apocalyptic thing. It looks cool because they showed some gameplay. So it looks interesting.
I saw some of the gameplay. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
No. I thought you had. What were your thoughts on Rage 2?
Oh, I saw some of the gameplay. When the trailer came out and all the different stuff that started to come out, there's two types of things that happened, right? There was like the cinematic, or not the cinematic, but like the trailer that's just kind of like the marketing trailer, and then there was like the gameplay trailer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the marketing trailer was, I don't use this phrase at all, but it was cringy as fuck. Like, who the fuck do you think you're trying to market to with this like weird, like dirty, like desert punk almost kind of style going on? And then they're like flipping off the camera with like shotgun shells and shit. It was just way too like trying to be edgy. And I'm somebody who appreciates some edgy shit from now and then, but it was just like, oh, you guys are fucking this all up. But then the trailer came out, the gameplay trailer came out, and it looked really interesting. My initial reaction a couple weeks ago when it got leaked was, this looks like Destiny. It looks like, I wonder if there's not going to be like some like multiplayer aspect of this. I thought they were just kind of like Destiny-ifying the Rage franchise. Because it actually sounds like it would have been a good move, since everything in Rage is a little kind of, I want to say general or generic, and so it would have been a great place to like fit you in as a character who just does crazy shit. But after I've seen more stuff out of E3, that's not the case at all. There's no multiplayer, it looks like. It's very much a single-player game that's very big and expansive. It's first person with really crazy abilities that, to me, look more like Destiny than it does Borderlands. But also it looks like if Destiny, Borderlands, maybe the original Rage, and Bulletstorm had like a three-way baby. Okay. I don't know, is that 3? Bulletstorm, Rage, Destiny, and Borderlands. It's 4-way baby.
That's a gangbang that's been waiting to happen for someone.
Right, and then Rage 2 was like the monstrous baby that was born out of that. And it looks like there could be some cool stuff to it. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see them transition through. This is the thing that bothers me the most about open world games. Open world games usually have multiple biomes, and the gameplay never shows them transitioning from one biome to another. Like, that's really, I think, where people see the most, beauty in the environment and shit. When you see them, like, how artistic or how well they blend that crossover, they never show that. So they showed a bunch of different biomes, but they don't show you how you like traverse them or how you move through them. Not that it's necessary. They also showed some car combat for Rage 2, which is apparently... hold on, wait. Actually, now that I remember what it was exciting about Rage 2, I wanted to kind of highlight this. It's a joint project. I think it's id who's working on all of the combat, and then it's Avalanche, who made Mad Max, who's working on all of the car combat. And that's crazy to hear, because like usually you don't hear about two big studios coming together to make one game. Usually you hear like, this is the studio that made the game, and this is the studio that like made the multiplayer or whatever, right? So yeah, Avalanche, who did Mad Max, is doing the car combat, which was really good for Mad Max. I loved Mad Max. It's one of my like Hall of Fame games of this generation. And then it's Avalanche, or it's id doing all the combat stuff, which looks really cool and tight. And so it looks like they're instead of trying to work on their weak points, they're just letting other people fill those gaps, which is an interesting way to develop a game. I think it's kind of unique, and I want to see how that, I would like to see some behind the scenes stuff about how that kind of marriage works. But then also, it sounds like it's going to lead to some really tight gameplay with like, hopefully not many like, things that make me roll my eyes or think this is dumb or stupid. So it looks like they're really, really working on making a tight gameplay experience. It's a single player game too, at least as far as I know. So it's weird. I wonder if there's not going to be some sort of like never ending content to this game,
Yeah. So, but you're right. Actually, I didn't know that there was multiple companies working on it. So I'm actually now going to be looking into that actually a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I not necessarily just for what the outcome of this game is, but it'd be interesting if we could see like a future where development teams that are really good at certain things come together to make one ultimate game. Like, could you imagine like, And this is just like I'm just pulling names out the air, but like let's say Insomniac and or not Insomniac, Naughty Dog and Rockstar decided they were going to make a game together. That'll never fucking happen. But wouldn't that be really exciting?
Oh god, that'll. Whew, just the
yeah, you didn't even know you needed it until I told you.
But actually, that'll be a fun topic to talk about tonight from the other podcast. Thank you. I needed a topic.
No problem.
So continuing with this, so Todd Howard came out during the conference.
Todd
Howard, and he kind of stole the show basically. His presentation for Fallout 76.
76, yes.
Oh,
this is the elephant in the room for me.
So before I tell you, like, how much do you know of it? So to this point.
I know a lot of because I've seen a lot of the videos that kind of parse out the details.
Okay.
So I'm pretty familiar with how it's going to work, its general format, and I've seen a little bit of the gameplay. What little bit that they've showcased, but nothing beyond that.
So, what are some of your initial thoughts, like pros and cons for this new online multiplayer Destiny-esque, I would say, game?
Okay, so the first thing, when it got announced, I was like Twitch streaming that same day, and you actually like tuned in and was like, hey, what's your opinion on this? And at the time of announcement, it sounded like it was like an Ark clone. A lot of people were like comparing that. It doesn't seem like it's the same thing, but my main concern initially was, is it going to run? Because I own a PlayStation, Bethesda does not understand how PlayStation works apparently, and nothing that they make runs properly on my goddamn system. And I have a Pro, and I still can't get shit to run at like at least 30 frames a second with their games. What were you gonna say?
No, and on top of that, this is their second multiplayer game.
Right.
But I think their works with Elder Scrolls Online have kind of taught them some things to help Fallout 76, I believe.
I mean, I can only fucking hope so, because they're also not talking about like a multiplayer game, like a 4v4 or a 5v5, or even like a large scale multiplayer game. They said that the servers are going to be 24 to 36 players.
I believe so, because it's a huge map. Let me see. I wrote everything down here. Let's see here. 4 players. Co-op, see here, multiplayer, direct servers, no permadeath, what else? Team building, being dicks. Oh yeah, I wrote being dicks because you can like destroy other people's shit.
Right.
And then nuclear fallout.
Yeah, right. You have access to the nukes.
But overall, it's as far as technology-wise, I think we're at that point where people have started understanding multiplayer and how servers work. And since Bethesda has had a game on their servers, that's what it was, dedicated servers. They're going to have dedicated servers for Fallout 76. I'm hoping one day they'll have other people hold servers so you can kind of create your own.
I mean, since considering that most of the time for games like that you have to buy that, I'm sure that'll be an option.
So one day, hopefully, because I think it was Battlefield 3. You could have your own server.
Yep.
And that wasn't too bad. Sometimes
the reason that the fact that you can do that in Battlefield 4 is what's keeping that game alive for me right now. I play that game like once a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
no, that like one day I'm hoping they can do that, but like for the most part I'm going to be getting it. I'm looking forward to it because it's something that I kind of wanted, was an online kind of Fallout game where I can play with people that I know. And I don't know, that's the thing. It's like a lot of games that I want to play, like Destiny was one, and now here I am again. And am I going to have people to play with? That's the thing about these multiplayer games, is are there going to be people to play with?
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and then it's kind of, with this aspect, yes, you're going to be able to do stuff like in other Fallout games, is find stuff. I believe there's going to be a weird quest setup because I know there's no NPCs from what I've been hearing.
Right.
So there's going to, because that's one of the fun things about Fallout is all these fun story quests. But like I was saying before, it's like I play these multiplayer games, play with people. If I'm going to just play by myself, why do it when there's people out there who are even playing with their friends to just be dicks and ruin my time? Basically Minecraft then at that point.
Right. Yeah, no, you're nailing it right there. That's there's a lot of, again, this is another one of those games where there's lots of layers to unpack and unpeel, right? Like, firstly, I'm used to Fallout games being single player. Is it not a great platform for multiplayer? Yeah, I guess so, because it's an interesting and somewhat beautiful world. That wouldn't make that making settlements is something that makes sense. It made sense for Fallout 4, so that's cool. I would have preferred a single player Fallout game. I would have also preferred a remaster of New Vegas, or even a remaster of 3 if you were just gonna be a dick, Bethesda. But
I second that.
I'm not crazy about the idea of adding multiplayer to it. And then there's reasons for that too. Like, if it was just a co-op game, then okay, sure, fuck it, Fallout co-op, I'm down as shit, right? Because that makes sense. If it's only you and 3 other people, and you're just living in Fallout world, and you're trying to battle the elements and the animals and all that shit, fuck yeah, I'm down. But the fact that it's dedicated servers and you immediately load into one means that you don't have any control over where you go, which means that you're going to run into dicks and they're going to fuck up your day. And they've even said in some of the post stuff that there's a system in place that will prevent griefing, but I don't know what the fuck that means. So, I don't necessarily trust that. Secondarily, survival building games are very big right now. They said that it's not like Ark, but it still sounds like it's got some DNA of Ark or Minecraft, or even kind of what's the other one that people love? I think Ark and Minecraft are the first two, but
those are the ones that come to mind for me.
Yeah. I like those games. I've played those games a lot. I personally really enjoy survival games if they're balanced properly and are challenging. But multiplayer survival games typically are not balanced properly. They're kind of balanced for sheer numbers. The more people you're playing with, the easier time you will have. So I'm kind of not excited about that, and I'm not crazy about the Ark Minecraft format because of what it does to the game as a whole. It creates a very kind of tight gameplay loop of dying, recovering your shit, dying, collecting shit to build more shit, leveling up so you can unlock more abilities, get more shit. It's all a very long, drawn-out process, and it's cool to see yourself progress, but it's also really slow. So, and very frustrating when you lose progress. I'm not a fan of games like that. So all of this together inside of a Fallout project leaves me kind of up in the air about it. I'll pay attention to reviews, but then the secondary and most important thing that you keep mentioning is, I don't know if I'm going to have that many people to play with. I have another friend who's a really big Fallout fan, but I don't think he's excited about this either. And beyond that, I mean, there's going to be a bunch of multiplayer games out, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's we're being shoved so many games that are multiplayer now,
and also this isn't like I said, I think for me in particular, there's a strong market for co-op games. I want to play with my friends against the computers in a challenging kind of environment that allows progression. I'm basically making a checklist of my favorite game. I want progression. I want to be able to play with my friends. I want it to be challenging. I want to be able to make progress, and I want to look cool while I do it. It's kind of why I liked Mass Effect as a multiplayer game. You could literally remake that, and I would just be down for just playing forever. And I want it to be something that I can just play for a long period of time. And it seems like some people are kind of tapping into that, but then they're trying to make it more open. They're trying to leverage maybe technology. Maybe they're just we want to make as many players as possible, and that's cool. But you can't balance for that type of stuff. So I think that when people grow and when games decide to widen in scope, they sometimes lose some of the things that make them really mechanically interesting, which is why I'm not privy to games like that.
Oh, yep, exactly. So
That
that's
being said, sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
no, that's kind of my whole spiel for E3 and a lot about nature. Like,
There's one game we didn't mention. I don't think it got announced at E3. I think it came out before. Have you heard anything? I don't know the full title, but I think it's called Generation Zero.
no.
Oh.
Let me Google that shit really quick. So what was that for?
I think that's being made by Avalanche also, and it's a 4-player co-op game that takes place in 1980s rural Sweden, and giant robots come and take control. So it's got like this crazy synthwave soundtrack, and I don't know where I heard this. I'm not sure if it's legit, but you have like normal traditional firearms, and it's got like apparently very realistic firearm mechanics, which I'm very interested in because that type of shit gets me like really excited. And you fight giant robots, and it's co-op, and that also gets me excited. I haven't seen any gameplay. It's just a trailer out. It's got a killer soundtrack. It looks fucking cool. There's I don't know if there's character customization, but there are character archetypes that look fucking cool. There's like the punk with the spiky mohawk and shit, and it's all like 80s-ified, which, like I said before, is kind of being revived. So, it looks interesting just on like concept alone. I am going to keep my eye out for it, but I was actually hoping to see more of that, and nothing else came of it.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. It looks really interesting. Oh my god, what is that? There's like dog robots.
Yeah. It kind of feels like a little bit of like a little bit of Horizon with some more like what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of Horizon with like influences from like what's the word? I have a hard time like mashing it together, but it looks cool, and I'm interested in seeing it. Like the robots look kind of like old style, old timey
Mechs and
DARPA
stuff.
shit. Yeah, like mechs. There we go. Thank you.
They're like mechs. They look really interesting. Yeah, it's like Horizon Zero Dawn.
But like scaled by old timey.
Yeah, they look really interesting. Okay, I think I remember seeing a little about this, but I just kind of went over my head.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of like a quiet announcement, but I'm always paying attention to shit like that. It'll be interesting to see how it comes out. Apparently, Avalanche is no longer working on Just Cause 3, but this is their project now. So, or Just Cause 4. So I don't know who's doing Just Cause 4, which did get announced as well. But yeah, it's not the same developer, and they've moved on to this, and apparently helping out with Rage. So interesting to see. I want to see what else they got, and that seems like a not necessarily a new concept because we've all played 4-player co-op games, but it'll be interesting to see how they approach it in 2018 or 2019 whenever the game comes out, because we haven't seen them in a good while. I think those type of games.
Okay, so yeah, it looks interesting. I'll keep my eye on it. It looks like going to be another fun game.
Yep.
But
yeah, I think that just about wraps it up from anything that I saw.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the main stuff that had my interest and that just kind of like are staying in my mind at the moment. There's probably other little things, but they're like just something that are just probably floating around. And like this one game, Tunic, that's for the PlayStation. That looked really adorable.
What was that? That was like the little mouse guy, right?
It was a little fox where it looked like Link.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks very Legend of Zelda.
I think that's the only other game that really was adorable to time. Well, and Unravel 2.
Yeah.
Which was announced that was available that day.
Oh, cool. That was a good one.
So yeah, so those are kind of like that. Like those are the games that are like I really have to think really hard. But some of the games we talked about are the games that are like in the talk right now. So.
Yeah, anything out of E3 like as a whole? Like, what did you think of the show? What did you think of just like the whole experience this year? I think if anything, it was honestly, I feel like it was a little, not necessarily underwhelming, but it definitely seemed a little neutered. Like it wasn't as showy as it usually is, but they still showed a lot. But it didn't seem. I don't know. Maybe it's just for me being an adult now and like more of an adult now. And not being able to get super hyped for things. But like it didn't seem like it was this huge event as much as it was just kind of business as usual. Did you feel that?
Okay, so I stated this I stated this a little bit in the last Save Point podcast episode. I think companies are going to be doing this moving forward. I think they're going to be doing smaller individual press conferences like Bungie does, and there's another company, but I can't remember their names, where they're just going to start announcing their games earlier throughout the week heading into E3, because I feel that it gives them time to showcase their games before E3, because at E3 we get shoved so many games at once, and it's just kind of hard to remember everything.
Right.
And this time around, a few companies did showcase games on their own for a little bit of time and gave them their, like, not even 15 minutes, their 5 minutes of airtime to the audience to let them digest. And I think that's what's going to be happening moving forward. And I think that's going to feel a little bit easier as us consumers to, like, them give each game an hour, maybe not an hour, but at least half an hour of them talking about what they're trying to do, and not feel so congested. And I think that's what happened this time around, is so many games got leaked. I'm going to say quote unquote leaked early, but it's a good thing because then it gave people time to digest them. And that's kind of why it felt, maybe that's why you felt that way going into it. It's just everything was just getting announced prior to E3, and then when it was time for E3, it just wasn't as exciting.
Yeah, maybe even that, like, just all the things that were coming out of E3 were things that we all kind of expected. I mean, you could certainly say that for Sony. They've been saying the same. They've been showing the same 4 games for the last 3 years at E3.
And honestly, I think Sony this year was the least impactful for me. And Sony has always done a very good conference but this has been one of their low points, I feel.
Yeah, and I mean, it was still very good. I just think that, we had already known about all those games going into it, that we were all kind of, I mean, with the exception of Death Stranding, which we knew existed but didn't know about and much about. We still don't know much about.
No.
But, not concern. My question here is, like, do you think this is just them because they're putting a lot of resources into the next gen hardware, that they're just kind of like not trying to push for another like 4 or 5 years of game releases? It sounds like they're trying to make a pretty big shift. The same thing could even kind of be said for Microsoft. They didn't show a lot. Game developers that just did their world premiere showed a lot,
But Microsoft did just announce that they bought a bunch of development companies.
That is true, actually.
So that's why I feel Microsoft did a better job this time around, is because they actually, they did announce a couple more games than most of the other companies, and they did announce that they bought a couple more development companies. So they're really working on trying to push their Xbox One X and the future of their company, and that's why I kind of push in favor this time around for Xbox, because I feel they did a better job this time around as far as their conference goes. But Sony, I think here's the thing. I think, I think Sony has actually been a little too lax just because they've been winning the last few years, I would say. And I think they've just gotten a little soft as far as presentation and game announcements.
Sorry, my bad.
No, go for it.
The Sony conference was also plagued by like technical difficulties. I don't know if you caught it while it was live, but it was fucking atrocious from what I hear.
Oh no, yeah, I caught it live. I was live streaming it.
Right.
I did catch it live. It was annoying.
So it seems like there was just a lot of shit going wrong in that whole like area. It sounds like people even kind of are speculating that the reason why the first part of the thing took place in that like tent was because they were actually having trouble on stage trying to get shit working. But I don't know. That's just a rampant speculation on my part. I think that Sony is just kind of like, they're very aware of the lead that they have at this point, and I don't think it's going to change. And people talk about, like, in politics, they say that like politics can be very pendulous, like it swings one way and then stays that way for a while and swings back the other way. The same thing can be said for like, video games. Sony was really popular, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 not so much. PlayStation 4 they're very popular again. I mean, next generation, whatever comes about, this we might see a shift, we might not. It seems like they're a fucking powerhouse right now, Sony and the PlayStation. So, maybe they're just not giving a fuck, or maybe they've just invested their efforts somewhere else. Who knows?
Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see on that. Is there any other?
That's the thing about E3. Lots of waiting and seeing.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention as far as E3 or gaming in general?
Not off the top of my head. No, I think we pretty much covered it. I've gotten off my urge to talk E3. Thank you so much for having me.
No, man, you're welcome. And maybe next time I'll have the rest of my gang and we can talk about you a little bit more, like you do on your podcast, because there were actually a few of the people on my podcast kind of wanted to talk to an actor and kind of the life of what you did.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just mentioned also that I'm going back to class. I'll be able to talk about, I'll have more stories soon. Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd love to come on. I'm actually going to be, we shouldn't talk about it on the podcast, but I'm going to be more free soon. So.
All right, man. Yeah, we'll sort something out, but yeah, so plug your stuff, man.
Oh, yeah, awesome. So if you guys want to check me out, I'm available on wholesomehoodlum.podbean.com. I'm also available all over the place on any place that you get any place that you get podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. That's where I listen to all of my podcasts. You can also check me out on my social media accounts. I'm on Twitter at HoodWholesome. I'm on Instagram at Wholesome Hoodlum. I'm on Facebook, although I don't use it very often, at facebook.com/Wholesome Hoodlum Podcast. And then I have a Twitch channel that I'm on Mondays through Thursdays, sometimes, but not always. I haven't really been feeling it lately. But if you want to check that out, there's a bunch of videos there too. That's twitch.tv/Wholesome Hoodlum.
And I'll have links below for all that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
And but no, thank you. I appreciate you joining me today. And I look forward to our future talks with everyone else. And,
there will be.
You'll be bombarded with questions, but it should be fun.
It sounds like fun already. All right. Well, it was a pleasure, man.
All right. So thanks again for joining us. Later.
Absolutely. Bye.